The Grow My Cleaning Company podcast helps owners of cleaning companies just like you to grow your company and yourself so you can make more money and finally get the time and money freedom that probably got you into this business. Discover how to automate and create systems that allow you to grow like crazy without losing control. If you dig the show and want to show some love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. It really helps. Enjoy the show. Hey, Cleaning Nation, Mike Campion here with Candace Johnson. This lovely young woman started Standing Ovation Cleaning Company, LLC, November 2019 in Cleveland, Ohio. She serves residential and commercial clients. Welcome to the show, Candace.
Hi, how are you? Good.
And just for all of you listening, lovely voice. For those of you on the video, Candace is in a dark bunker, so she's in an undisclosed location. So we've got her hidden, hundreds of feet below the Earth's level, so you can't find her. So if you're listening, going, "What's going on there?" Check out the YouTube video; you'll get to see for yourself. All right. So before we jump into questions, tell us a little about how you got started and where you're at now, sister.
So I got started actually in a franchise a little over maybe about 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like them taking my money, and I'm doing the work.
Candace, we haven't known each other very long. I like you right off the bat. I did not like them taking my money. Well said.
I didn't want them taking my money, and I'm doing all the work. So I made the decision.
That's a writer downer, Cleaning Nation. If and again, no disrespect to franchises, they're fine, but if that's a real good summary. I do all the work and yet they take all the profit. Well, there you go. Well said. Yeah. Continue.
And I just took that as a way to work smarter and not harder. So I took a step and a leap on faith and decided to start another LLC of my own. And I've been learning lessons ever since, making friends along the way.
Who wouldn't like Candace? What kind of person wouldn't like learning lesson, making friends, making a couple bucks? Let's go. Sounds like a party.
Yeah. And I do it because there's times maybe, and I think you can relate to this, Mike, where people are sitting in a enclosed area, maybe eating, grabbing lunch, dinner, having a couple cocktails, and you look and you're like, that doesn't look clean. Or you hear this whole crowd over here coughing or sneezing, and you're like, what can I do to make a difference with that? So I said, let me continue my journey. Let me continue to be great, to make, someone else's life less stressful with the every day-to-day worries and concerns of cleanliness.
I love it. What a beautiful way to look at the work that we do. So that said, how can I help you on your journey, sister? What's going on today that I can help you with?
So I think one of my biggest questions that I have is, how did you grow your business, obtaining larger accounts? And how did you secure those larger accounts?
Yeah. So just to be crystal clear for everybody, currently we have a coaching business. I haven't had a cleaning business for many, many moons. And when I did, I was young and dumb. And a lot of the stuff that we teach, I learned the hard way. So I won't tell you how I did it because A, I had a Service Master franchise. B, it was a long time ago. C, it was in a small town. But for the last 7 years, my team and I have exclusively helped owners of cleaning companies grow. So instead of telling you how I did it, which is much less interesting because I didn't do it well, I'll tell you how to do it, which will get you better. As opposed to telling you how I did it that didn't work, I'll tell you how you can do it that will work. But I never want to be less than completely transparent. I don't want anyone to think I'm currently getting large clients. I do not have a cleaning business right now. We spend 100% of our time coaching owners of cleaning companies. That said, we will definitely talk about how to acquire bigger accounts. But before we do that, I want to kind of bang a drum I've been banging a little bit, which is before we start solving a problem, which I promise we'll solve, I will answer your question, Candace. Or look at an opportunity. We want to make sure we're really clear on what the problem is or the outcome we really want before we start growing or before we start solving it. So the question you have, how do I get big accounts, presupposes, and I'm going to answer it no matter what, but it still presupposes the next best step in your journey is to get big accounts. And that may be the case, but it may not be. So I want to, I don't say push back, but just pick at it a little and go, what makes you want to get big accounts? And by the way, I'm all for big accounts. So don't hear me saying it's a bad idea or anything like that. I just want to walk Cleaning Nation through, because I get a lot of questions like this that are kind of halfway through and they have a bunch of assumptions. I don't want to just check those assumptions to make sure they're right. So we push you in the right direction. And again, I'm going to answer your question either way. Even if we decide that's not for you, I'm still going to answer the question just to be, so you don't be like, the guy wouldn't even answer my question. That said, I would start with your goals and what made you assume, probably correctly, that getting big accounts would be the next best step to reach your goals. Is that a fair question?
Absolutely.
So talk to me.
I want to say, because I've been positioned with some more smaller scaled accounts, where I feel that professionally, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, that I'm ready to go to another level, another tier of, like you say, the Cleaning Nation. With a lot of those lessons have come a lot of blessings from the smaller scaled accounts that I currently hold or have done cleanings for.
Okay.
So I think I'm pretty much ready to kind of grow and scale. I actually
So let me push back one more time, because we're getting closer, but I want to get spot on, right on the nose. So what I'm hearing you say is, I've been doing this a while, and when a younger, less experienced Candace wasn't ready for big accounts, she couldn't take them. Fair. And I feel like this Candace has got some more experience and I can handle some bigger accounts. Still fair. I'm with you the whole way. That said, it may not, but may be the case. And let's just be clear. Let's have a little definitions. For you, what's a big account? What's a small account? So we can know what we're talking about here.
A small account is 3 to 4 figures. So maybe
let's be specific. How much per month? Give me a small account.
So let's say $1,500 a month.
Okay. What's a big account?
That's a smaller account.
Mm-hmm.
A big account is what I just finished today, which was like 5 figures.
So 10 grand a month or more.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. All right. So, because again, I hate saying 5 figures, because that could be 10 grand, could be 98 grand. Those are wildly different. So let's just call it 10 grand. And I think most would agree on commercial, 10 grand's a big account and 1,500 is on the smaller side. Okay. So that said, now that we know, I shouldn't say no, but we believe, and I'm sure it's the truth, Candace, you're like, before I could only handle the $1,500 accounts. Now I think I can handle the $10,000 account. Let's just assume that's the truth. I'm assuming you've got a pretty good handle on your own abilities. We still haven't answered the question, is getting $10,000 accounts the next best step to reach my goals? So just because we can do something. So what I heard you saying is, before I couldn't even do it. It wasn't even in the conversation. Now I can do it. It's in the conversation. Like, well, let's have that conversation. Correct. It's very possible the best. And I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not, and I promise I'm going to answer your question, but it's very possible the next best step could be getting more $3,000 accounts or $4,000 accounts and not getting 10s. And 10 might be it, but I just want to make sure we're clear on, and for everybody here, I don't want to beat Candace to death. You want to ask these questions before you just be like, well, if $1,000 account's good, $10,000 better. And if that's better, $100,000. But let me tell you why, some potential downsides for large accounts. Let's say I've got a nice little $30,000 a month company. I've got 20, $1,500 a month accounts. And obviously that won't be the case. We'll have some larger and smaller, right?
Absolutely.
Well, if I lose an account, okay, I'm now a $28,500 account. If I gain an account, I'm a 31.5. We're square. It's okay. Now let's say I pick up a $15,000 a month account. So now I go from 30 to 45. Well, that sure does feel good. Beats that, I can start one big account as opposed to having to do all this. But let's say I lose that account. Now we got problems. Let's say that account slow pays me. Let's say that account declares bankruptcy and doesn't pay me at all. Let's say they say I'm doing a bad job and start holding my money and negotiate. Now we got problems. Let's say they start being real jerks, but they're a third of my income and I've staffed up and I've got this overhead to handle this account. That's a problem. So I'm not saying that would eliminate the goal of, well, I can never get a large account. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying we don't want to tell ourselves the lie that a $15,000 a month account is 10 times better than a $1,500 amount account.
Right.
It's 10 times more money, but we just have to understand the unintended consequences that come with that. So that said, and I promise within 2 minutes here, I'm going to get to your answer. That said, I would, and I don't know what your average account is, but say your average account now is $1,500. I wouldn't go chasing 10 grand. Now, keep in mind, if a 10 grand came banging down my door and wanted to bid and I thought I could serve them, I'm going to bid the crap out of those people. So I'm not saying I wouldn't take it. I'd probably start chasing $3,000, $4,000 accounts just because I don't personally like any single account being more than about 15% of my revenue. So if I'm 30 grand in revenue, I don't want to count that bigger than 4 or 5 grand. Now, again, if one presents itself and I think it's a good fit, I'm not saying I wouldn't take it. I'm just saying I'm going to pursue kind of, even if I can handle a $50,000 account. It's like, yeah, but is it the right thing? Like, perfect example. No offense to our friends at Walmart and Costco. They're famous for finding little companies that are doing $1 million in revenue or something and sign up for a $5 million contract. And then they beat the crap out of them because they know we own you. We can set any price that we want. We can pay in any terms. We cancel your contract, you're out of business. And you were fine before doing a little $1 million company, but now you're a $5 million company and we're 4 of those 5. So we're in charge. And they just beat the and then the guy ends up making the same or less money with way more stress because Walmart is firmly in charge. So just these are things to take into consideration. So the answer, what I would coach you to do one-on-one is if, and you might be like, my average account is much larger than 1,500, but if I would go, the largest account I would go after is about 15% of my total revenue, right? So I don't want, unless I'm a brand new company, then take what you can get. But if you're doing 10 grand, I'm going to want 1,500, maybe $2,000 accounts. Once I get to 30, I might want a $4,000 or $5,000 account. If I'm doing $100 grand a month, now that, 10, 15 grand a month may not be, I can absorb it a little better. Okay. So that's my coaching. Now I'm going to answer your daggum question because that's what you came for. The beautiful thing is, the process to get a large account is exactly the same as a small account. The way we're going to do it is the manifestation, the way that plays out is going to be a little different. The execution is going to be a little different, but the concepts are the same. So for all accounts, the idea is to get crystal clear on what their pain is, their real life, big boy, big girl pain, be able to articulate that pain to them so effectively. They're like, oh my God, this person gets me. And then make a proposal to solve that pain in a way that no one else is going to solve it because no one else really understands the pain as well as you do. That is the magic for a $500 a month account or a $50,000 a month account. The good news is, believe it or not, it's easier using this method, which we teach for all size accounts. It's easier to do it for a $10,000 account than it is for a $1,000 account, because let's just do this $1,000 account. It's probably twice a week, lawyer's office, 6 lawyers, 30 people in a month, $1,000 a month, give or take, right? Their pain probably not that big, right? If you do a bad job, or the current cleaner they have does a bad job, like, dang it, current cleaner, do better. Moving on. And if they can save a couple $100, like, sure, I don't care. We're a bit of a commodity, right? Now let's go $10,000 a month. That's a 5 to 7 day a week account. It's 10 or 15 hours a night. There's a day porter, perhaps. When something goes wrong, it's a big daggum deal. They've got hundreds, if not thousands of people in this facility. It's not a little strip mall they're renting. It might be a multi $10 million building that they own. The stakes are a lot higher. So their pain is going to be a lot clearer. The little lawyer's office paying $1,000 a month might be like, I don't know. I have customers or clients. I don't want it to look shabby. I don't want my employees to come in shabby, clean up the sinks and take out the trash, make sure it looks nice. Fine. That's pain. We can help them. I promise you, if someone's spending 10, 15, 20 grand a month on cleaning their facility, their pain is much bigger than that. They're like, I've got layers of management. I'm going to get fired. This is my biggest vendor. Managing this part of my budget's a big deal. They have real pain that you can really solve. And they understand pricing. Like a lawyer's office might be like $1,000 to clean up. Susie's been taking out the trash every couple of weeks and she does it for, like, they don't get it, right? I promise you, the guy that's spending $12,000 a month on their cleaning, he has no confusion. Like, 12 grand, this should be 4 grand. Like, they know what it freaking costs. So all that to say, understand their pain. So your competitors are going to go in and do a lot about them. I'm the best. We know this. We've got all this experience. Let me square footage. Let me measure it. How many times do you want done? How many trash cans are there? What kind of floor work do you want? They're going to just do the none of this is their real pain. You're going to want to come in and go, Tamara, you've got a cleaning company now. Why not keep them? They don't show up on time, or they miss the baseboards or some superficial pain stuff. Got it. So when they miss the baseboards, how does that affect your life? Well, people come in and complain. How does that make you feel? Makes me feel crappy. What about your boss? Does he care? Oh my God, he comes in. What else? Yeah, last week the VP of whatever came in, who's is my boss's boss, and it looked bad, and I got now you see we're getting some real daggum pain.
Yeah.
And when we go to solve that problem, we're not going to talk about, well, you've got 2,000 square feet of VCT. Now this needs to be stripped and waxed every year, and we'll burnish it every quarter. And we're going to go, Candace, It's $12,000 a month. And for that, every time your boss comes in, you're going to look and feel great because the place is going to be amazing. Oh, I can sign off on that. So the big thing is we got to get away from talking about us. We got to get clear on their pain. We have to articulate it in such a way they're like, oh my God, this lady gets me. And then we make an offer to solve that pain. Works for little people, works for big people. It's the same thing. Questions, comments, rude remarks?
Um, that was really great advice. I thank you for that. And it all made sense, very clear. The only other question I can think, in your coaching, would you ever recommend someone to ask what is their budget?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that gets into kind of a deeper sales training that is beyond the scope of this. Um, absolutely. And I will say, because there's a way to ask it and you have to, because people go, I've tried to ask budget. They never tell me. They don't tell you because you haven't gotten a good paying conversation. So it's part of a system of helping the person. So the big thing you want to get is for all of these sales conversations, the way that we're going to coach you to do, which is super effective at very high levels. And it's so much better than trying to grind or pressure or force, is to get, again, really curious as to what their pain is. And by the way, even if it's a big account, I'm still going to get crystal clear on what their pain is. And before I make them an offer to solve it, I'm going to go, am I the best in the, not the world, because at least the city, am I the best in the area? Am I the absolute best to solve it? And if and when I know that I am, now I'm going to fight like heck to solve it for them. And if I'm not, I'm just going to be honest and go, you know what? This isn't exactly our wheelhouse. Let me see if I can find you a vendor that would really take care of you. A, that's a high integrity move. B, you're not going to try and fit a square peg in a round hole. C, if and when they have other jobs, they're going to go back to our high integrity friend, Candace, who's really looking to serve them as opposed to sell them. That said, same when it comes to budget. When I ask budget, I do my pricing fixed. I know my margin, I know what I want to make, and I'm going to charge them that regardless. So if I know my price is 12 grand to make the margin I want, and they're like, my budget's 15 grand, guess what my bid is? 12 grand. Now I might say, hey, to meet the needs that you told me you have, it's 12 grand a month, but you said your budget was 15. Here's some other cool stuff we can add on top of that. It's really going to make your life amazing, but you don't need it. So I'm going to be completely honest with them. So when we're asking budget is not to get more money or to try and trick them. It's to really serve them and understand their problem. Right.
Absolutely.
And if you don't get a real pain conversation first, they're going to lie to you about budget or not tell you. But once they are crystal clear on their pain and what it's costing them and the stakes, they're more likely to be honest with the budget. And I'm going to ask for a couple of reasons. One, I'm not going to do a bid if they're ridiculous, right? So, and they probably, again, at a $10,000 job, they know what it really costs, but they might try and be messing with me or take advantage of like, oh, $6,000. I'm going to let them know right off the bat. I know what